Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host, Lee Zimmerman, with my producer, co-host, and just, I gotta say, extremely great buddy, Billy Hubbard. I gotta say that. I gotta let people know. So anyway, today we're really excited to have a couple of transatlantic travelers. After all that introduction, Seafoam Green, how are y'all? Hey. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So you are doing what, sort of a semi-cross-country jaunt? I mean, where have you been so far?
So we started out up in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And then, in a place called Mashpee, in a brewery up there, Knockabout.
Lovely.
It was great. It was a really nice way to start the tour. And then we moved down through New York City. And then, where were we? In Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Oh, it was...
Camp Springs, near Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah,
I thought it was
enough.
Louisville. I'm confused always about where I am.
Me too. And I'm stable and you're traveling. So you're here tonight. We're here at the station in Louisville, Tennessee. Why did I get mumble mouth just then? I don't know.
I'm contagious, I'm afraid.
No. We haven't done one of these in a while. So we are total professionals. I do not want you to worry, be nervous. Oh, will they get us through this? No, we are professional. We are.
Yes.
We are? Oh, so anyway. So you're here on a sort of mini jaunt tour and to Atlanta. So how did you find the studio in Atlanta? How did you choose that locale?
So Tyler Greenwell, who produced our last record, Martin's Garden, he's based out of there, and he's got a good setup there. And he moved studio between our last record and this record. So this is the first time that we've actually been here, Diamond Street. Looking forward to it.
I mean, have you recorded in the States before?
Yeah, so our first two records were both recorded here.
In Nashville?
No, first record was recorded in Santa Monica, and the second record...
Oh, that's impressive.
In Atlanta.
All right, so it's kind of a return here now that you're coming back.
We like making records here.
Yeah, that's lovely. So this will be... Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You've had 2 full-length albums, and you've had an EP, and now you're working on the 3rd full-length album.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and what will the name of that album be?
Who knows? We haven't made it. It's hard to name something that hasn't been made yet. So, but we normally take the name from something. It normally kind of makes it pretty obvious through the process of making the record that it would be like, that should be the name or whatever.
Finds its way out to you somehow.
Try not to think about that too much.
Well, that brings up an interesting question as to how you find your muse, how you get your inspiration in terms of songs and albums too. Because isn't this album going to be slightly different than the preceding? You're taking a slightly different direction.
It's definitely different, but it's not like a considered different way. I think like if you listen to it as a listener, you would hear that it's different. But every album is different of another album anyway.
That's true.
It definitely differs just in the way it leans. Kind of on where it sits, it doesn't really sit in a genre box, but I'd prefer that our music didn't, and you just got to listen to it and make up your own mind.
Right. I mean, that's apparent from the music we've heard that it's very dynamic. I'm going to use some D words. I like alliteration, but it's very dynamic and very determined. Very emphatic, very forceful sound that you have, and, again, from the songs, I mean, how do songs come to you, for example?
So every possible way, half them, we would arrive to each other with, the idea for a song and maybe finish it together, or a near completed song, or we would set off and start from zero together,
Okay.
or anywhere in between. You know what I mean? That is the struggle to, well, like, how do you write a song, and what is the correct approach? And I think it's good to just keep it open to whatever way the song comes. Go, okay, run with it. You know, get it finished.
I was watching last night on a late night show. John Kander, who's responsible for writing some of the great Broadway musicals, and the fellow Miranda, I think, that did Hamilton, right? The two of them are apparently collaborating together, and it's interesting because it's the span of several genres, because John Kander's like, I think he said 96, and Miranda's probably, in his 40s, I would guess. So it's very interesting. But Stephen Colbert asked that question as well. How does it happen? I mean, do you sort of see what you want from the song and then work towards that? Or do you start working from sort of a random idea and then pegging the identity and the concept to it at that point?
I think it comes back to what you asked, and we maybe left it unanswered, which is about the inspiration.
Yes.
And I think you're right. Your inspiration is, like, it can be so many different things, but it is the world around you and the life that you're living, for sure.
Yes.
And so when there's nothing's happening and you're uninspired, it's because you need to shake the can and, like, see what falls out next. And, like, that's why when we did have a massive global pause,
right.
Sometimes the song inspiration came from the frustration of your absolute just sedentary, life that you kind of can't change.
Right.
But also some of it came from the fact that you're just not doing anything. You're not seeing anything new. You're not experiencing new things, meeting new people, because all of those things bring you fresh perspective.
Sure.
And then your musings lead to songs, I think.
Yes.
And sometimes you're just gifted it as a whole finished song you'll sit down, pick up a guitar, you'll play something you've never played before, you'll sing something that you've never sang before, you'll write it down as quickly as possible, and then you'll be like, oh, there's a song. And other times you'll labor over, you'll have a statement or something that you want to project.
Yes.
Or like have an opinion on or raise awareness to, and you'll try and construct entertaining narrative around this message.
Right.
But I prefer, well, obviously I prefer when it just lands in your lap and you're just like, oh, here's a song about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it feels so natural, and it only takes as long to write it as it does to play it.
Right. Well, they were talking last night about how things can come very quickly. Apparently, John Kander, 96 years old, has very nimble fingers, and he'll just start playing a melody. And then Miranda said, I couldn't keep up with him with the lyrics and stuff like that. So I guess it could be a very quick process, or it could be very measured, or something like that.
And
there's no absolute rule. Anyway.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, I think Paul McCartney said every time he sits down to write a song, he has to try and remember how.
Really?
You know what I mean? Because if it
Oh
doesn't,
my God, I want to be his tutor.
that's it. Like if it doesn't land in your lap,
Yes.
then how do you choose when the options are everything?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't choose what I want for dinner off a menu. Never mind what I want to make an eternal statement about politically or something. Or,
Right.
Your guys' music is unique, and you don't seem to be influenced a lot by states music going on over here. I mean, I guess it seems you probably got you got your own sound going over there. So that's kind of cool that you come over here and you mix a little bit of influence.
we're removed, aren't we? You know what I mean, slightly, because we're not living our day-to-day lives over here. But we do pay attention to the culture, and we are over here a lot. But obviously, it's just another generation of, folk music went from Europe to here, and then became rock and roll, and then came back to us, and then we heard that, and then we're going back over here, and so it's like third or fourth generation of an idea or a sound. But
Oh, by the way, I don't think we even said. We said this is Dave O'Grady.
Hi.
We said Seafoam Green, but we didn't introduce him individually. We just call her Muzz, but she's got a more complicated name than that.
Yeah, Muzz. I don't know. That could get us in trouble. So that Billy.
It's fine. My name's Muireann.
Pardon me?
Muireann.
Muzz it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway. Sorry, Billy.
Oh, that's okay. I just remember we didn't really specify.
No, it's all good.
Right.
But, so we got it straight now.
Did you do the intro? Did you?
No, you did the intro.
Yeah, I know, but you were going to...
what was I? Oh, I was going to mention, though, too, that we have a sold-out show tonight at the station in Louisville, Tennessee.
We do?
Yeah, sold out. So it's coming up here very shortly.
Well, you've built up a bit of a following here because you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
So you're not
times.
strangers. They're not strangers to you, the audience, right? I mean...
Some of them, I'm sure, not. No, but it's always like that. I think that's the good thing about coming here. There's always...
Yeah.
There's always a large percentage of new audience members to meet. Like
That's
because
what
the
you
station
want.
has such a reputation for having good shows that people will just come here
Right.
to see who is playing because they know it's going to be at least this good or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. And then you excel. You exceed.
Yeah,
You go
absolutely,
much
yeah.
beyond there. How did the two of you meet? Let's talk about the backstory, the origins of Seafoam Green. And how did the two of you meet? And how did this musical bond come about?
So the first record, I kind of set off on this kind of solo journey to make this. I got an opportunity to make a record, and I got so far, and I got back to England, and it was really missing something. You know, there was cool songs, and the music was good, but there's lots of records out there. So I asked a friend of mine to bring in some backing vocalists. A really great artist called Kaya, who's Norwegian, but kind of was and is based in Liverpool. And she brought in 3 singers, and Muzz was one of them. And after 10 minutes, the 2 other girls, they could go home. You know what I mean?
In a very nice way.
In a very nice,
In a
very good
nice
singers.
way, I'm sure.
But like
knowing you the way I do, I have no doubts.
It
Very
was-
polite.
Yeah, it was very obvious about what was supposed to happen and which direction,
Right.
It was obvious to everybody, so I don't think anybody was upset about it. And
Oh, okay. All right.
and
That's
then,
good.
It was nice though. It was like, it wasn't something that felt like it had a massive time crunch, or it did have a time crunch on it, but it was...
it was exciting. It wasn't laboured.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was just some other job for me, to be honest. It was.
You're a professional.
She is.
I didn't even want to do it. I was like, I've got a hangover, my throat's sore. I was genuinely.
Gigs. You can turn down gigs. You're a professional.
I was in college, and I was like,
All right,
who's
well,
this
that
guy?
might be the
Who
other
cares?
reason you were in college. Yeah.
So I called him up and was like, I'm feeling rough. And he was like, I'm flying to LA tomorrow. You have to get here. Like, get your breakfast.
She had to fly transoceanic and transcontinental.
No, I had to walk like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was leaving the
No,
next
it was
day
like half
too.
an hour.
Oh, all right. So you were in the same neighborhood.
We were, in the same.
As
All
a
right,
studio,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I got the wrong
Luckily.
impression that you were over here again, and
Well, the record was started.
yeah,
there,
it
but
was
I
done
was-
here, and you brought.
but I was,
that, you added to it. Yeah.
I was over there. So
So how did it progress from there?
I think we just ended up doing.
Lots of gigs.
Yeah, Muzz became such a part of the sound that I could, like, after a while, it's like, well, I can't really portray the sound of this record without her, and I'm tired of paying her, so maybe I can get her to join the band and make as little as me.
You're on a retainer at that point.
then-
Convinced
right?
me.
Isn't
Yeah,
that it?
and I tricked her.
No, you went from paying me nothing to pay me less. And
Yeah, paying you nothing to you paying
That's
into
not,
it.
yeah, not good.
But the tunes, man, the
wait
tunes.
A minute, wait a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, there we
Perfect.
go. Nice.
No, of course that's not true. We always bust each other's balls. It's
Yeah.
necessary.
No, it was just obvious about what direction the record and the band and the it was obvious what it was supposed to be.
Right, all right.
So, and it was just making that possible through whatever compromises people had to make with other work and things and other opportunities. And
You had to turn down gigs.
I think it just became very apparent to me what needed to have my energy put into it and what didn't. And I kind of just quit everything else because
And you were going to call in sick.
yeah,
That's what,
I was just
You were going
saying.
to call in sick. take a sick day.
Well, I was about to say that I was glad I didn't.
Of course. Wait a minute.
There you go. Perfect. Something perfect. This crowd.
Yeah, we have a good crowd here. This is a fantastic audience.
I did want to ask about the gigs. And what's it like playing over there and playing over here? Come to America, how does it feel different? What's it?
So it depends what type of gig we're doing. Obviously, like there's all levels to all gigs on both sides of the Atlantic. Here it feels like we're one less or two less filters away from like being able to digest what we're doing, because historically you have the musical palette to be like, oh, see where we're coming from. Sometimes at home, they're one generation away from really, like when I have to tell you who the band are, then you know what I mean? Because if you already know who the band are, then you're going to know what we're doing, or kind of way.
Are you talking about your regular band?
I mean, no, like the band, like Levon Helm and everything. You know what I mean?
The band.
The band.
Yeah,
Why didn't you cue me? Why don't you get up and say, yes, you idiot? No, the band.
You know what I mean? Because you have
all right.
A reference point.
Yeah.
It's useful, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess it just differs on the other side of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But not like drastically.
Yeah.
Like venues the venues.
Great venues in the UK.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, there's some great places.
Yeah. Well, here in East Tennessee, we measure up, especially due to the station.
Well, this is why we traveled so far to be
plug.
Yeah.
The station are sponsors of the
That's the only
broadcast.
reason they're here.
It's cool to come back to as well, because it's such a great little venue, and it's awesome to have those kind of places. That's probably where it differs, is that there's like few and far between venues like the station over where we're from.
Really?
It would exist. Yeah, it would exist like a destination venue where you kind of gotta go and drive to be there, and then it's like the venue is the only thing there.
And you're hosted.
And being successful and having touring bands coming through, and being able to stay.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You have your favorite venue and your favorite friends, probably.
There we go, yeah.
Some say you're very favorite.
This is why we're here.
It's the favorites within East Tennessee.
No. I mean, the station measures, I'm serious, up to any venue I've ever been in.
Yeah.
The intimacy, the vibe, the decor, the sound, the comfort level, the family. I mean, that's a cliche, but
the sound is just incredible.
Again,
really.
sponsored by the station.
Oh, yeah.
Brought to you by... No, we'll just throw that in there. No, I mean, I guess as a Yank, and I've never been to Ireland, I've been to the UK several times, but I have a very romantic sort of idea about the English, Irish, Scottish countryside and the pubs. And so, I mean, that's just my kind of view or thought about the venues over there. But you're saying it's not necessarily like that.
Well, what you're imagining absolutely exists.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you were like, we've been fortunate enough to play some crazy intimate, log-fired, small, dark rooms, singing tunes on the edge of a cliff.
That sounds lovely.
You know what I mean?
Sounds great.
Yeah, but obviously cities are growing and kind of things are changing, so there's less and less of those places. But
they're also not the only context that you will find music in Ireland. We do have our own, dedicated venues as well. We just have less of them, and we have less like the station that it's out somewhere where you need to kind of go to on its own. It's not surrounded by industry or foot traffic, which when you're a band and you're touring and you're putting on dates and you're finding places to play, and like traditionally, if you found somewhere and you found there was no footfall, you'd be like, we'd be crazy. What?
We've done it.
Yeah, we have. And we've made mistakes and we've had really roaring successes.
Well, of course you are as you grow. I mean, that's natural.
Exactly.
That's natural. Well, again, which begs the question of you have you're recording the new album. The EP came out not that long ago.
It's not out.
The first single came out.
Okay.
But the EP is out on the 14th of April.
Okay.
One single came out
very soon.
of the same.
Yes, but you're recording the next album. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. So the point is you're well entrenched in your mission and your direction. And but what's the next step? What are you looking for from here? What's
just to kind of, I guess, travel and play as much, like just do as much of this as possible. Make more records, do more gigs, do more traveling,
and doing
contribute as much art
to the world.
Podcasts,
play, learn to play more instruments, and express ourselves in different and new and interesting ways.
Right.
It's easy to get stuck in we have these 20 songs and we tour and we play these 20 songs and that's it, and not grow as an artist or a person or whatever. Because I can get paid this much money on a tour, blah, blah. Where getting to do as much as possible is way more appealing.
Yeah. The new album must be really an exciting thing for you now.
Very, yeah.
The next sort of step and everything like that.
Yeah, we're both really looking forward to kind of recording it and seeing what comes to the top of the pond and floats. Because we've got like a load of stuff that's kind of either in its infancy or finished or could go another direction, and we're kind of being a bit more fluid with it this time round and letting the album kind of take its own shape. And it's a great position to be in, having too much material rather than going around and scrabbling, because we've done that before too.
Yeah, and it's the first time where, because we're both obviously songwriters in our own right, where I think once we finished the second record, we were at zero, as historically with songs, or at least I was anyway. So we kind of built this record where it's more like, all right, what have you got? What have you got? Instead of like, well, I've had this song for like 7 years,
right?
Whatever. Those ones kind of got used in the first and second record, and with this record, we really kind of, all the songs have been written like in the last 3 years or 2 years or whatever.
It has a lot of us in it.
There's no like, and nearly all of them are like fully collaborative songs.
Excellent. With all that material, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You can, in like 3 months, you can reissue the upcoming album with the bonus tracks, so you get double sales.
That's it.
Outtakes, bonus tracks,
B-sides.
Yeah, well, I'm a physical kind of guy. Put it on.
Did you guys, when you say collaborate, did you two guys write all the songs, or did you have to bring in someone else?
No, we don't. We were, for a time, we were maybe co-writing with a third person, but we tried that once, and we kind of actually realized that we would just focus on the two of us writing the songs. Yeah. And it's been, to be perfectly honest, even just the two of us, like trying to get to an end point. Obviously, as you can imagine, we're two opinionated songwriters.
Wild.
And we're mates. So we actually, we treat each other as such, but we also get into it. And when we're arguing, we don't hold back, because our art is at stake.
It's important.
Yes.
And so if you were going to introduce a third person, it's like, that's going to get even crazier,
Yes.
You can't help it.
You're going to have to earn some lumps to get that position.
But I've asked people this, like that new duo, War and Treaty, for example. And then two people in the fifth dimension, Marilyn McCool and Billy Davis Jr. But I asked married couples, the Tedeschi Truck Band's another example. So how do you separate the personal from the professional? Like, do you go on stage sometimes really
We are
pissed?
not a couple, though. You know that, right?
But you work together in a very personal...
Yeah, I guess songwriting is pretty personal.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could get pissed off at Billy. We're obviously not a couple.
Well, we fight each other, and I think that's
But
key.
it's part of the profession.
Supposed to be scary.
Yeah. All right, but I'm just saying that there's bound, when you work so closely together in proximity, there's bound to be tense moments, and then you have to go on stage.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, things can get tense in a working relationship, any sort of pairing. And are there times when you have to walk on stage and you're not happy with your other person?
For sure. But it only takes maybe 2 songs to
We're professionals, and
to be like, snap out of it. Like, I know, so the other night, I knew it took 2 or 3 songs for me to get into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm worrying about my guitar sound. I'm trying to really tune into what Muzz is singing or what I'm singing and whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can feel isolated on your own, kind of like what you're trying to do.
Yes.
But once you kind of reestablish the connection with the person you're performing with, it is like, you know, it is really like, okay, like a life raft or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got you. Thank you. I was lost there for a minute. Okay. You know.
Gotcha. Well, we as we draw to a close, we can't let you off the hook without please telling us the origins. Seafoam Green. I'm bracing for just an amazing answer.
So it's a pretty simple story, to be honest. When we were first looking to build the ensemble of like how big will the band be, we had different drummers and bass players and musicians come through the ranks, and there was a guy called Adrian who was like a multi-instrumentalist, keys and pedal steel and guitar and whatever.
Yeah.
And around the time we were kind of starting to tour the first record, or just coming up to the idea of the first record being finished and tourable and whatever. And I said I was looking for a name, and he threw out a couple, and Seafoam Green was one of them. And once he said it, like I knew it was like, you know, like you hear words and it's like, I know that's the thing.
Because it sounded good together.
Yeah,
but
you
did
know.
you know what Seafoam Green, what is it?
I
But
didn't.
That
Well,
didn't
he told me
matter.
it was a guitar, of like a Fender guitar cover.
Oh, all right.
And but then after that, like I'm big on like visual cues and things. So
Okay.
I just started seeing the color everywhere. And then I was like, well, maybe that's a sign, and we need a name. And everyone who hears it has like a positive reaction.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It flows, and that's the whole thing. I mean, when I write as a writer, alliteration is everything, because a sentence or words have to flow like a melody. You know, it has to have a start and a finish and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And so, you know, yeah, it's a lovely name, actually. It really is a lovely name.
Spell check hates us though.
Yeah.
But people must ask you. They must ask you all the time.
Yeah, and it's
Like
cool
I
because
just-
people have like a lot of people who talk to us have like a connection with that color or
The color.
certain thing,
Yeah.
a guitar or a car or a piece of jewelry or
Is
something.
there a
So it's like,
seafoam green as a color?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'd
That
say
is
there's
I'm an
tons
idiot.
in this house.
That's actually one of my favorite colors on the
Seafoam
on the strap.
green?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You're seriously.
Look at Sarah's.
Why didn't
entire
somebody
collection.
cue me off to this before
There you go.
the
Where's
interview
John?
started?
We actually
did
named it
not.
after
all
this
right, I'm an
house.
idiot. I did not know that there was actually a color like burnt sienna or radish red. I didn't,
Mummy brown.
Yes.
Do you know that used to have dead people in it, like actual mummies?
Oh,
That's a whole other podcast, but
Yes.
seriously,
Yes,
Yeah, you would
don't
know,
scare
Sarah.
me.
it was a paint color back in the day, and they used to get the brown
Yes,
color
Sarah.
from a residue of
Seafoam
paint
green.
from
Oh, yeah.
mummies.
We have
No one else cares.
we have some other guests in our studio today.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is
yes.
Sarah.
We have a studio audience. Come on.
Yeah. You can calm down though. You need hey folks, chill a little bit. Okay.
Take it down.
yeah, relax everybody.
I guess we better wrap it up because we got to get on to the show here. But anyway, speaking of Seafoam Green, you're finding it at seafoamgreenband.com.
.com you will
Yeah.
or Seafoam Green HQ on all socials.
If you would like to buy a T-shirt or buy a record
Yes.
or just sign up to our mailing
Yeah,
list.
or join the Patreon.
See what's to see what's going on when we're coming close to you, and everything that you buy really helps
Yeah, and
to
that's what I
keep the
tell
show
people.
We are
going. So
skint.
thank you so much.
What I always say, one
We wanna
T-shirt,
help
one
us
T-shirt
out.
equals like 5,000 streams or more,
Yeah, at
something
least.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy some of that stuff. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're going to head out of here, and big thanks to Seafoam Green and our host Lee Zimmerman. Check out Lee's book, Americana Music: Voices, Visionaries, Pioneers of Honest Sound, now available on Amazon. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to My Backstage Pass on your favorite platform, and we'll see you next time. Happy trails.
Good night.